If you're a mage like me, and you're having difficulty doing the Tier 3 Voidgloom Slayer, this video will help you with what gear you need and some tips on how to do the boss correctly. Okay, to start off, you're going to want to have a Withered Hyperion, just like it is here. If you really want to change it to a Heroic to get the maximum amount of right-click damage, you could do that. But I just have it Withered just because it looks cooler, and also you have a little bit of left-click damage if you may need it. Smite 7 actually not the greatest enchant for this case. Probably want to do Sharpness 7 for the maximum damage for Enderman. Ender Slayer 6 is all you really need, and some Flawless Gemstones will also add some intelligence, which would be very, very nice. The next thing you want is a Florid Zombie Sword on the Heroic Reforge. You could put some gemstones on it, but it's not really necessary, right? You really want this for the instant heal ability, which will really help you in the boss. You also want Wither Goggles and 3/4 Storm. It's going to be a great armor set for you. Will definitely be necessary for Voidglooms, at least for this mage setup. You're going to want to have Necrotic Reforge, Loving on the chest plate, and another Necrotic on the Wither Goggles. And I think you try to max this to the best of your ability. So I have full Wisdom 5 on everything, fully recommed. Fumings are not really necessary for this, but I guess you could get them. I don't necessarily have Fumings, but it would give you some extra defense if you really need that. Yeah, Necrotic Reforge. Stars don't matter, but good to have them. Yeah, just try to max this to the best of your ability. And yeah. The next thing you need is an Overflux Power Orb. This is actually 100% necessary, because I was doing Voidglooms before, Tier 3s, and it was not working out for me, right? I was using a Mana Flux, which is the reason that it didn't work. And Mana Fluxes only last for 30 seconds, whereas the Overflux lasts for 60 seconds, and it gives twice as much mana regen, right? You get 100% mana regen, which is double your normal amount of mana regen, and twice the amount that the Mana Flux gave. Mana Flux gave plus 50%, this gives plus 100%. You most definitely will need the Overflux to be able to do the Tier 3 Voidglooms. Another thing you will need is a Summoning Ring, because you need to have the Summoning Ring in order to not die to the Voidgloom's Malevolent Hit Shield, which is the shield phase where you have to hit it. Yeah, you mainly just rely on these Crypt Soul Eaters found in Master Mode 1 that I use. You could use whatever soul you like, really, but I found the Master Mode 1 Crypt Soul Eater is actually quite easy to obtain, because they actually there's a good drop rate in Master Mode 1, as opposed to Floor 7, and the Floor 7 souls are even worse than this, actually. So I would definitely go in some maybe Master Mode 1 to 3, get some souls. If we pop this down real fast, they have 1.1 million HP, and the lowest I've seen these go down to is around 400k at the end of a Voidgloom boss fight. But worst comes to worst, they'll die. You just have to get some new ones, and it's not such a big deal. The last thing you need is a sheep pet. Mine is legendary, but the legendary sheep pet has the dungeon wizard perk, which doesn't actually matter since Voidglooms are not done in dungeons. So an epic sheep pet will work. Slap a textbook on it, and then you're good to go. So that is actually it for the gear that you need. If you followed that the gear guide well, you should have around 3,300 mana. I mean, it also depends on skill average and talismans. Like my talismans, I have quite a few mythic talismans, but none of them are really set to intelligence reforges. They're all set to crit damage and strength. So, I don't get much mana from talismans, so it shouldn't really affect it. Like I get 9 intelligence, right? It's not that much at all from talismans. So if you followed my guide, you have the right gemstones, you have the right Hyperion. Hopefully, you should be around 3.3k mana. And if we find an Enderman, we can see how much damage we do. Okay, yeah, 926,000 damage. That's a good area to be around. If you do around that, you should be set to fight the Tier 3. Alright, so here I am about to spawn a Voidgloom. What you have to do is you have to use your Hyperion with your sheep pet, obviously. Just you kill the Enderman, the Voidling fanatics that way. Okay, so it just spawned. You have to spawn the Summoning Ring Souls, which will drive it through its hit phase shield. And I accidentally placed an Overflux twice, so only place it once. Now once its hit phase shield is done, you're gonna want to use your Hyperion. Kind of go in. You have to be opportunistic though. You want to preserve your mana. So yeah, you can just hang around the Overflux a little bit. That's how you get your mana back. But yeah, just kind of you have your Wither Shield. You have your Wither Shield ability, so you can be opportunistic. Use your Florid Zombie Sword to heal if you really need to. Only has 5 charges though over a period of time, so be careful. I'm a little low, so I'm gonna stand back a little bit. This is what the souls are good for. You can kind of just chill while they take the aggro. No, you want it, yeah, just let it stay there. Remember, once it hits around 43 million HP, it's gonna go into its next phase. Oh yeah, here it is. It's dropping the beacons, which you want to run to. Try to focus. If it has a beacon in its hand, don't really damage it too much because you're gonna want to stay focused 100% on where the beacon lands. So if you damage it, you might not be able to see it. Yeah, just make sure the overfluxes pop down. The next phase is actually the third phase, actually the hardest phase, right? When it reaches around 23 million HP, it's going to get into the third phase. You're going to want to have a fresh overflux for about maybe 30 seconds, maybe. So once it reaches 23 million HP, it's actually quite close. You want to make sure that you have an overflux placed down, and that yeah, you have pretty much all of your mana, which I did here, because you're going to want to deal all of your damage because it's going to spawn these little heads, which can be overwhelming if you don't deal with, and the beacons as well. So the third phase can be very overwhelming if you're not careful. Like try to be focused on staying alive instead of doing your maximum damage. It just spawned a head and a beacon. I could have killed the head, but I need to kill the beacon first. Like really stay focused on staying alive. I could have done a lot of damage, but instead I have to focus on staying alive so I don't die. Now I just go all in and the boss is dead. Hope this video has helped you and gave you a little bit of insight on how a mage like me could kill the tier 3 enderman. And I wish you the best of luck.